श्रीशैलेशदयापात्रं धीभक्त्यादिगुणार्णवम् यतीन्द्रप्रवणं वन्दे रम्यजामातरं मुनिम् लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् यो नित्यम् अच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये लोकाचार्याय गुरवे कृष्णपादस्य सूनवे संसारभोगिसन्दष्टजीवजीवातवे नमः।
श्रीशैलेशदयापात्रं धीभक्त्यादिगुणार्णवम् यतीन्द्रप्रवणं वन्दे रम्यजामातरं मुनिम् यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धो रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये लोकाचार्याय गुरवे कृष्णपादस्य सूनवे संसारभोगिसन्दष्टजीवजीवातवे नमः. So we continue with the Mumuksupadi. இத்தால் விரோதியை கழிக்கிறது விரோதிதான் மூன்று அதாவது ஸ்வரூப விரோதியும் உபாய விரோதியும் பிராப்திய விரோதியும். So namaha is the word which we are discussing about. Basically namaha is the word that denotes how a person overcomes the obstacles. So there are three obstacles, namely Swarupa, that is given in the 83rd and 84th Sutras. Virodhitan Mundru, the obstacles are three in number. They are Adavad, Swarupa Virodhiyam, Upaya Virodhiyam, Prapya Virodhiyam. So they are known as Swarupa Virodhi, Upaya Virodhi, and Prapya Virodhi. So the obstacle or impediments that affect the very nature of the individual soul, that is the first one. The second Virodhi or obstacle is that which impedes the Upaya or the means. And the third one is Prapya Virodhi, which means the obstacles that impede the Prapya, that means the result meaning the attainment of the Supreme Lord or his servitude by the Jivatma. So these are the three obstacles. So here we will read the commentary and then go forward. நமஸ்ஸால் செய்கிறாம் செந்தானே என்ன அருளிச் செய்கிறார் இத்தால் விரோதியை கழிக்கிறது என்ன, அதாவது ஒன்னோ பலவோ என்ன அருளிச் செய்கிறார் விரோதிதான் மூன்று என்று. So the word namaha here is the denoter of the warning off of the obstacles or impediments. So the impediments are three in number, which we have just mentioned. அம்மூன்றுதான் ஏதென்ன அருளிச் செய்கிறார், அதாவது ஸ்வரூப விரோதியும் உபாய விரோதியும் பிராப்திய விரோதியும் என்ன. இத்தால் பிரதம பதத்தில் சொன்ன ஸ்வரூபத்துக்கு விரோதியும் அப்பதத்தில் ஆர்த்தமாக சித்திக்கிற உபாயத்துக்கு விரோதியும் உத்தர பதத்தில் சொல்லுகிற பிராப்தியத்துக்கு விரோதியும் என்கை இன்னமசு. இதுதான் காகாட்சி நியாயத்தாலே பூர்வோத்தர பதங்களில் சொல்லுகிற ஸ்வரூப பிராப்தியங்களினுடைய விரோதிகளை கழிக்க கடவுளாயிரே இருப்பது. So the placing of the word Namaha is very important in the Ashtachara Maha Mantra, which is Om Namaha Narayanaya. Here we all know, we have so far studied and understood to a particular extent the meaning of Om, the meaning of Namaha, and also the meaning of Narayanaya. So three types of obstacles impede the individual soul or Jiva Atma attaining the Supreme Lord or his Kainkarya. It is Swarupa Virodhi, Upaya Virodhi, and Prapti Virodhi. So the word Namaha, he says, applies to Om in the first instance. And in the second instance, it applies to Narayana and Aya to denote these two, the subsequent two Virodhis. So here in the commentary, Swami Manavala Mamani gives a very beautiful analogy. He says, Kakakshi Nyaya. In Sanskrit literature, we come across several such Nyayas. So in this context, Nyaya refers to the logic that is derived based on an analogy that is well known to people at large based on their day-to-day experiences. So for example, Sthali Pulakanyaya. Sthali Pulakanyaya is a very famous Nyaya or a logic based on a particular analogy. So in India, when they cook rice in large quantities, so I don't know whether you have seen how it is cooked in India in large quantities. When about 10 to 15 kg or 50 kgs or 100 kgs of rice are to be cooked, it is done in a very unique manner. I don't think any of you have might seen it. So they have, it is done using the, you don't call it a stove, you call it, I don't know what you call it, because stove means I think you people are familiar with gas stoves or stoves that run on electricity or something like that. Not even a steamer, because it's a huge stove kind of a thing. And they actually light it with firewood. You call it vat, is it? Something like that. And then you have a huge vessel, probably you have this brass vessels, which are huge, probably very huge. Even if I extend my arms like this, it will not be. It will be so huge. And then they will fill half of it with water, and then the firewood is lit, and the water will start boiling. After the water starts boiling, the rice that is cleaned and it is soaked, the soaked rice is added to the vessel in which water is boiling. So then the rice also starts boiling and it starts getting cooked. In the sense, it will expand and also become soft. So when it has to be removed from on top of the stove, I'll call it stove only. So to do that, they will just remove one small morsel of the rice and they'll do it like this to see that whether it has been cooked or not. So then what they will do, if it is still little bit hard, then they will allow it to boil for some more time. Or if it is to the exact, we call it the exact state where it has been cooked, it has become soft enough and it has expanded. Then they will remove the vessel and they will tie a gunny bag or something like that, and then they will extract only the water and the cooked rice will remain in the vessel. So they will not see each and every morsel. Suppose you have 10 kgs of rice which has been put into the vessel for cooking. So it will contain millions of grains or morsels. Now each and every morsel will not be examined whether it has been cooked or not. Only one morsel will be taken and examined, and then immediately the next process of removing the water is done and the rice is realized. The cooked rice is realized. So this is known as Thali Pulakanyaya, examining one morsel of rice in a huge vessel. So many times what happens when some book has been written by an author, just by studying 10 lines or 20 lines of that book, you can make out what the author is. Whether he is knowledgeable or not, whether what he is writing is correct or not, etc., by an expert. Like this, you have nearly 300 Nyayas which are listed in a work called Laukika Nyayanjali. It is available online along with translations. A Britisher has translated this and published in colonial India, which is very surprising. So similarly, you have Sthuna Nikhanana Nyaya. When you have to plant or you have to put land a pole, first you dig a small burrow and then you put the pole there, and to ensure that it is well established, you shake it and see it. Generally, people shake a thing only to remove it, but in this case, to see whether it is well established or not, you actually shake it yourself. The person who is actually planting it there, he himself will shake it and see. So though I am myself planting that pole there, I will shake it not with the intention of removing it, but to ensure that I have planted it in a proper manner, that it is unshakable. Many times we ourselves raise doubts in the theories that we have propounded, just to establish it more in a stronger manner, and it is unshakable. The theory cannot be refuted or proved to be untenable by our adversaries. So like this, several Nyayas are there. Here, Swami Manavala Mamani quotes a Nyaya called Kakakshi Nyaya. Kakakshi Nyaya is the Nyaya that Nyaya of the eye of a crow. It may be a little bizarre or strange what it means. So according to the Indian tradition, and it is proven by science also nowadays, the eyesight of a crow is very poor generally. Just as the eyesight of these hippos are poor or rhinoceros is poor, the eyesight of a crow, it cannot see very far. And also it is mentioned that the crow's two eyes are, one is in this side and one is situated on this side, not like us. It is on the sides like all birds. When this eye functions, this eye will not function, it seems. And when this eye functions, this eye will not function. So the indriya or the sense organ, and this is also very important, we talk about it in Nyaya Shastra or Tarka Shastra in detail. We define what the sense organ is. The sense organ is actually a software and not a hardware. That we can very clearly make people understand, and we can understand ourselves after the advent of computer technology. So you say, I have a hard drive like this, and I say it has some 10 GB or 35, 32 GB of information in this. Suppose I cut open each and every part, can I find the software? You cannot find it because it's not a thing with mass, and it doesn't have any dimensions. But ultimately the software resides in this hard disk. Similarly, both the Indriya aspect or the sense organ and the mind, and also to a large extent the Atma, we don't know much about it, are all like softwares which are present in the human body. Where it is present, how it is present, we don't know. But it is present in the human body. Similarly, the Indriya or the sense organ, namely the eye, it is present in we have what we call the eyeball, you call it a pupil, then you call it so many retina and so many other things. But these are all hardwares. The exact sense organ is in the form of a software which is situated in this, but you cannot point out and say, see, this is the sense organ. So the Kakakshi Nyaya is a Nyaya which actually suffices to say that when it wants to see through this eye, it can see only through this eye. And it wants to see this side, it will see only this eye will function, this eye will not function. So essentially, it's like a small tube where you have a small little bit water. When you tilt it like this, the water will come here. When you tilt it like this, the water will go here. But that software which is in the middle portion, it will oscillate between these two or associate with both at different times. So here also he says, the Om Namaha Narayanaya, Namaha associates with Om when we are focusing on this word, and Namaha associates with the word Narayanaya when we are focusing on that word. So see how he has quoted a very unique analogy and logic based on a unique analogy that is prevalent in the world to explain what is being mentioned here. So he says, in Swarupa Virodhiyam Padattal Arthamaha Siddhikira Upayatakka Virodhiyam Uttara Padatkira Arthakshuntakka Shullahira Prapya Virodhiyam Engai Namasse Kaidan Kakakshi Nyayattale. Kakakshi means the eye of a crow. Kakakshi Nyayattale Purvottara Padangadil Shullahira Swarupa Prapyanganinudiya விரோதிகளை கழிக்க கடவலாயிரே இருப்பது. இவ்விரோதித்ரேமம் கழிக்கையாவதேதென்ன அது தன்னை உடையவே அருளிச் செய்கிறார் மேலே மூன்று வாக்கியத்தாலே. So how to overcome these three obstacles is mentioned in the next sutra by quoting three instances or three verses from the Divya Prabandhas. So he says, Upaya Virodhi Kadihayavadi Kadevai Tunbum Kadiyadurivai Kadehenmattilen Yenirikkai Prapya Virodhi Kadihayavade Mattanankamangal Mat Yenirikkai Swarupa Virodhi, that is the first one. Swarupa Virodhi Kadihayavade Yane Niyan Udamayan Niye Yenirikkai. So this is the 85th Sutra. So the first one I will explain. Swarupa Virodhi Kadihayavade Yane Niyan Udemayum Niye Yenirikkai. How to overcome Swarupa Virodhi. So as we all know, what is the Swarupa of the individual soul? What is the inherent original nature of the individual soul? We have been explaining that in great detail. It means that if a person thinks that he is independent or he is subservient to himself, that is the main aspect of Swarupa Virodha, or the impediment that affects the nature of the jiva. So Sheshatvame Atma Swarupam, this is what was mentioned earlier. The main nature of, or the principal nature of the Jivatma is that he is subservient to the Supreme Lord. So how this was overcome? Generally, as I keep mentioning throughout, always a successful person is quoted when you have to teach something. And as I keep mentioning, suppose you talk about tennis. You say like Roger Federer or John McEnroe or somebody who is very famous in tennis. Or if you want to say golf, then you say he's like Tiger Woods. So somebody is playing golf. If you want to make fun of him, you will say, easy Tiger Woods. That means Tiger Woods is one of the best players of golf of all time. Everybody has acknowledged that. So that is when we have to quote, we are all prapannas or sharanagatas or those who have surrendered to the Supreme Lord. And if we have to quote, then whom else other than Swami Nammalvar, who is the first and foremost among the prapannas to be quoted. That is why we call him as Prapanna Jana Kutastha, the first and foremost among all the persons who have surrendered unto the Supreme Lord. So he quotes his stanza is quoted here. So in the Tiruvai Mozhi, which is the principal work of Nammalvar, which has 1102 verses or stanzas. So I think you know about it. I will not mention too much about it in this context because we have to proceed further. You can know about it from the websites. And secondly, now there are several websites that give the entire explanation along with the commentaries in English. One Mr. What is his name? Sarathi Totadri, Sarathy Totadri. He has translated all the Divya Prabandhas of the Nammalvar into English along with the commentaries. So you can, I think it is dravidaveda.org and some other, a few other websites are also there where it is available. So in the koil.org, the koil.org, yes. So in Nammalvar says, in the second, ninth ashram of the second, that is 298 or something like that, you can refer. He says, Yane ni ennudameyum niye. This is what he says. The meaning is as follows. First he says, earlier I had thought that I was independent. And so many things in this world belong to me. But later I came to realize that neither do I belong to myself, nor do these things which are around me, which I thought belong to myself, belong to me. So I have now realized that I belong to you only. And since I belong to you, all that supposedly belongs to me also belongs to you. So all that supposedly belongs to me means what? This body, these sense organs. So that's what, very, very nice, very well quoted. Not knowing my true self, I thought I was my own. Oh, radiant Lord, worshipped by the celestials, me and what is mine are yours. Very pure, succinctly summarized, but it can be explained in great detail. So this is one very important aspect. This realization has to occur. So we may quote it or repeat the stanza and tell, yes, oh Lord, everything is yours. But it's not as easy. Because that realization has to occur and all our behaviors have to be according to what we realize. But that realization cannot occur overnight. It has to occur purely by the grace of the Lord himself. So, very beautiful translation, succinct translation by Sri Srinath Bharati. So that is the cessation or doing away of the Swarupa Virodhi is done by Nammalvar in by actually mentioning this, what he has mentioned in this stanza. That is Thiruvaimudi 298. So this is the nature of, or this is the example of the doing away of the Swarupa Virodhi. That is realization that this Jivatma belongs to the Supreme Lord alone, and everything that is supposedly belonging to this Jivatma enshrined in this body also belongs to the Supreme Lord alone. So this is the first aspect. Then the second aspect is Upaya Virodhi Kaliheyavade Kadevai Tunbum Kaliya Dodivai Kadehan Mattilen Yenirkai. So the doing away of the Upaya Virodhi are the impediments that impede or obstruct the nature of, obstruct the means of the Jivatma attaining the Paramatma is given by this stanza. That is 589. It is the Arava Mude Pashanam. If you can quote it, it will be very nice. Where he says, Swami Nammalvar says, see, I came to you to get rid of my miseries. Swami Nammalvar tells the Supreme Lord. He says, I came to you to get rid of my miseries. You may rid me of my miseries or you may not rid me of my miseries. I will not worry about that. But I have realized that you alone are the protector and there is no one else other than you to protect. So this is what he says in the stanza 589. That means the summary is, if I think that someone else other than you, the Supreme Lord, can be my protector, then I am mistaken. So getting myself rid of the notion that some person other than the Supreme Lord is my protector is what is the Upaya Virodhi. So realizing that the Supreme Lord alone is my protector and no one else can be the protector is what helps us take forward the means of attaining the Supreme Lord. Is it clear? Sundar Gopalji, is it clear? Okay. And the third one is Mattainam Kamangal Mat Engirapadiye Prapya Virodhi Kadiyavade Mattanam Kamangal Mat Engirikkai. So this is from the famous Tirupavai of Andal or Goda Devi. It is the 29th of the 30 stanzas, which form the work of Tirupavai. Don't worry, if you don't get it, don't worry. I'll share with you. Or you can share later also. I have mentioned the stanza number. So there, I will talk about Tirupavai in detail later on some other occasion. But after attaining the Supreme Lord, what do we ask for? So we have the instances of Dhruva trying to approach the Supreme Lord to get back his kingdom. But when he saw the Supreme Lord, when he had the vision of the Supreme Lord and the Lord appeared before him, what did he ask for? He did not ask for his kingdom. So he said, I don't want anything other than you and your service. So even after attaining the Supreme Lord, the phala or the result that we ask for is the continued servitude to the Supreme Lord. So if we have this different, so Goda Devi or Andal prays to the Lord, she says, if our desires be different, you must change them. You should ensure that we always aspire for engaging in your servitude only and nothing else. That's what he says. Even Nammalvar in another place, he says, Nirantaram ninaipadaha nee ninaikya vendume. Even if I make a resolution that I should always think about the Supreme Lord and none else, that resolution will not be fruitful because it's not in our hands. On the other hand, you should actually resolve and say that this person should always think about me, the Supreme Lord, and nobody else. Then it will happen. Because your Satya Sankalpa, your resolutions will be fruitful. We are ordinary human beings, we are ordinary Jivatmas or individual souls. 99% of the times, our wishes never come true. We all have realized, or at least I have realized, including the wish of having the Supreme Lord. So it is always in the hands of the Supreme Lord alone and not in our hands for something to occur. Therefore, ultimately, after attaining the Lord also, our singular request, our sole request to the Supreme Lord is that He should bestow on us the continued grace of our serving Him eternally. In case it can never happen, but even in case, the rarest of the rare occasions, if I have a different desire, then you should change it because you are Satya Sankalpa. That's what he says. So he says, that is what it says here. Prapya virodhi kadihayavade mattanankamangal mat ennirikkai. So 3 examples have been quoted. 2 from Nammalvar's Pashanams or stanzas and 1 from Andal's Pashanam. So this is as far as the removal of obstacles is concerned. Then, so we actually say this is how it should not be done. On the other hand, he has got it very nicely. O Lord, O great wonder Lord, reclining in Kudandai armed with a sharp discus, whether you end my despair or not. Or it also means whether you fulfill my other desires or not. Both. You are my sole refuge. When my body languishes and this life comes to an end, grant that I may hold on to your feet relentlessly. Which in other words means, you alone are my protector and other than you there cannot be any other protector. So that is what it suffices to say when the Nammalvar says like this. So this is as far as how to ward off the obstacles. Then positively how it should happen. That is shown by 3 more Pashanams or stanzas that are quoted. But before that, we will read the Sutra. 86. Mahayangai Swarupanashanam Namahayangai Swarupodjivanam. So Maha destroys the nature of oneself, whereas Namaha establishes the nature of oneself. So Maha is when I think that I am subservient to myself or something other than the Supreme Lord, it destroys the very nature of the Jivatma. And if I say Namaha, I do not belong to myself or I do not belong to any other person other than the Supreme Lord, then I become established. That means my existence will become meaningful. That's what it means. This is commented upon as follows. Ippadi swarupopaya purusharthangal moonrukkum virodhiyahirade ivanudiya ahankar mamakarangalahiyane adinudiya karyattayum தன் நிவர்த்தியில் உண்டான நன்மையும் அருளிச் செய்கிறார். So what are the reasons of these 3 being impeded? The Swarupa, Upaya and Phala or Prapya. The Ahankara and Mamakara. the notions of I and mine. So the notion of I means this individual soul, which is denoted by I, which you call as I consciousness in philosophical parlance, or ahamartha in Sanskrit. This is the notion that this is independent, which is ahankara. And mamakara is the what I think all these belonging to me, or these are all mine. So mama is the genitive case of the word aham, which literally means mine. So I-ness and mineness, if you can put it like if I may put it like that. So ahankara and mamakara is what? To literally translate, of course, literal translation many a times may be useful. Sometimes it may sound a little bit ridiculous also. So the I-ness and mineness, if it is translated literally, are two main aspects that impede the Jivatma in all respects. So that has to be gotten rid of. That is what it means here, which is mentioned by Namaha. Mahayangai Swarupa Nashanam. So it is the destroyer of the very nature of the Jivatma. And Namaha Yangai Swarupa Jivanam. Namaha is the establisher of the nature of the Jivatma. Endre Adavade Chetanasya Yadamamyam Swasmin Sviye Chavastuni Mama Ityaksharadvandvam Tadamamasya Tadamamyasya Vachakam Yangirapadiye Maha Ingiravidire Ahankar Mamakarangadirindum Undahiyane Adine Anvitanahai Yuatmavinudeya Swarupathukku Nashanam Namahayaril Anvaya Anvayam Adar Anvayamat Tirukkai Swarupathukku Ujjivanam Engai Dvyaksharastu Bhaven Mrityuhu Tyaksharam Brahmanah Padam Mameti Dvyaksharo Mrityuhu Namameti Cha Shashvatam Yangirapadiye. So very beautifully he quotes two verses from various sources of Sanskrit literature. He says, Mameti Dvyaksharo Mrityuhu Namameti Cha Shashvatam Dvyaksharastu Bhaven Mrityuhu Tyaksharam Brahmanah Padam. So the word Mama, which encompasses Aham also in it. Because Mama, as I said, literally means mine. So mine is the genitive case ending of the word I, according to Sanskrit literature. So when you say Mama, it is nothing but death. Death means what? The extinction of the Jiva. Mameti Dvyaksharaha Mrityuhu. If a person has the mindset of Mama, he is under the effect of the two-lettered death. Namameti Namameti cha shashvatam bhavet Triaksharam Brahmanah Padam. When he says Na Mama, that means he is protected by the Supreme Lord. That is why in the second half it says Nameti Dvyaksharo Mrityuhu Namameti cha shashvatam. So as of now, we are all under the effect of births and deaths, of the cycle of births and deaths, because of our notion of mama, 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 and all these things. I think this body is mine. These sense organs are mine. These entities. Suppose I say, I ask, where is my phone? Somebody takes away this phone, and I'll say, who are you to take away my phone? That means I have the notion of mine in all things that are existing around me. Not only around me, within me, without me, etc. So until I have this notion that everything belongs to me, then I am under the effect of the cycle of births and deaths. When I realize that I myself am the subservient to the Supreme Lord and none of these things belong to me, it's not as easy as I'm saying it. It's a very, very difficult thing to happen. But it happens gradually only. It doesn't happen overnight also. We have to know this. Then it is Shashvatam. Then he transcends the cycle of births and deaths and attains the Supreme. So you can simplify it in a great manner by saying, see, now you are Mama, you are having the notion of Mama. Just add one more syllable to it by saying Namama, you will get liberated. It's as simple as that. But for it to happen, it's a very great. It's like telling, tomorrow you please bring me $1 billion, I'd give this to you. Yes, it is easier said than done. But how can a person get $1 billion? Only few people can do it in the world out of some 6 billion people who are there in this world. Probably 10 people, probably 50 people or 100 people have $1 billion. The two, they may not be able to part with it. But you can say it in one word, it's very simple. Please get $1 billion and it will be done. So to tell it, anybody can tell this sentence. Yes, $1 billion I will give you. Somebody says, we will laugh at you. Here also it is similar because it's very easy when we say, see, convert that maha to namaha or mama to namama. Yes, it is very easy to say, but very difficult to do. But not impossible. That's what is being mentioned here because we have many people like the Alvars and Acharyas who have done it before and have attained the Supreme Lord as a result. Ippadi Swarupopaya Purushartha Virodi Kadikiravanike in the Namasittan Swarupari Trayatayum Prakashipikkum in Girar Iridan Swarupatayum Upayatayum Bharatayum Katum. So not only does it the word Namaha denote or describe the Virodhis or impediments, not only does it show the negative examples, but also the positive examples. So how the negatives were overcome by the Alvars who were the premier most Prapannas, and also how the positive aspect was achieved. That is mentioned by. So once you show how the negative aspects were overcome, positive also has to be mentioned. That is why he says, he quotes 3 stanzas in the 88th Sutra. He says, Tolevil Imanganam Tolum Ingayade Swarupam Shollit Vengadatturaivark Namaha Ingayade Upayam Shollit Andi Tolum Shol Ingayade Phalam Shollit. So Tolevil Imangalam Tolum, this is 651 in the Trivai. It says, so Swami Nammalvar is in the process of describing the greatness of a particular Divya Desha. Are you familiar with the word Divya Desha? So it is translated as a divine location. Literal translation is divine location. And it is generally mentioned as the chosen sites of the Supreme Lord, which are 108 in number. So according to the Sri Vaishnava tradition, the Supreme Lord resides in 108 Divya Deshas or chosen sites. They are known as Divya Deshas or chosen sites because these 100, and there are innumerable And of course, the Supreme Lord is present in each and every object or entity. But when we talk about the Archavatara, though he is present in every house in the form of a deity that can be worshipped. So you know, according to the Pancharatra Agama and Vishishtadvaita Siddhanta, the Supreme Lord has 5 forms: Para, Vyuha, Vibhava, Antaryami and Archa. I think you are quite familiar. I am sure Keshavdas Prabhu is very, very familiar with it. And he can explain it much more, in a much better manner than me, because he is so knowledgeable about these things. So in that, the final form is known as Archa. Archa is translated as the iconic form, where the Lord resides in the form of icons that can be worshipped. And they are mentioned in Sanskrit as Sakala Manuja Nayana Vishayatam Gataha Murti Visheshaha. The icons that can be seen or perceived by all human beings, irrespective of caste, creed, sex, etc. Generally, the Supreme Lord can be seen or envisioned not by these external eyes, but by the internal eyes. It is mentioned, na mamsa chakshuhu abhivikyatetam, na charma chakshusha grahya. That is, this external sense organ, namely the eye, cannot cognize him. Only the jnana chakshu, or the knowledge, the eye of knowledge, or the knowledge eye, can actually see him in his original form. But for the sake of ordinary weakling human beings like us, the Supreme Lord takes the form of Archa, or iconic form, where he is worshipped in the form of an icon, which is visible to all human beings, irrespective of their affiliations, to the external eye only. And among those Archa forms, the 108, the Archa forms that reside in the 108 chosen sites or Divya Deshas are most revered, because they have been sung about by the Alvars. So only that iconic form that has been praised by the Alvars, any one of the Alvars, is supposed to be a Divya Desha or a chosen site, and they are 108 in number. Apart from that, we have several very unique and very important things which are known as Abhimanasthalas, like Tirunarayanapura or Melkote, to which I belong. Then you have Rajamannarkudi in Tamil Nadu, several such sites. And that is in the second stage. And the third stage, all the temples where the Prana Pratishtha has been done, including in the households, the household iconic forms. But the power of the 108 is supposed to be much more than the power of the Lord in these forms. So out of these 108, except 206 are visitable by a person with this human body. Whereas 2 are not. They are not visible or visitable to us, because they are not in this world. That is Kshirabdi and Paramapada. That is the Milky Ocean and the Vaikuntha Loka. So here, why I started mentioning this is here the Swami Nammalvar talks about a particular chosen site called Tolivilli Mangalam. So he, while mentioning about how one should actually worship the Supreme Lord, he says, Tolivilli Mangalam Todum Yingayare Swarupam Shollittu. So he says, I am always subservient. He mentions by the word Tolum. I am always subservient to the Supreme Lord, who has all the qualities here. Oh ladies, pray leave this girl alone. You have no love anymore. Her dark lotus eyes brim with tears. Haltingly she murmurs, beautiful conch and discuss. large lotus eyes and spotless jewel mansions rise in Thulavilli Mandalam. See, this is a very beautiful thing. So in the Thiruvaimozhi of Nammalvar himself talks. So while we were in school, we used to do what is known as mono acting. I don't know whether you are familiar with this concept of what we call as mono acting. Are you familiar with this concept? Yeah, monologue is because when a single person acts as if he is two persons or three persons, we call it as monologue. Suppose there is a dialogue between two persons. First, the person who is playing both the roles, he says, when I am standing on this side, it means that I am playing the role of such and such a person. And when I shift to the right side and I say something, it means that I am playing the role of this person. So Nammalvar in this divine ecstasy, he talks as Nammalvar himself. And in some contexts, in particular stanzas, he talks as if he is the consort of the Lord. And in some places, he talks as if he is the mother of the consort of the Lord. So here, he is playing such a role. So for example, in the second decade of the 7th centum, he says, he assumes the role of the mother of the consort of the Lord. And he says, oh, what can I do to this Nammalvar, who has taken this female form? All the other people, all the other children, young girls, they talk about the different qualities of youths of their age. Well, what is my daughter doing? She always talks about the qualities of the Supreme Lord. Whenever I mention something about a boy, she says, I like his conch and discuss. I like his the divine fragrance emanating from the tulsi that he is adorning. So what shall I do with this girl who is always obsessed with the Lord and not with some young boy of his youth of her own age? Similarly, in this thing, she says, he addresses other girls and says, leave this girl alone. Why do you actually try to wean her away from from the divine experiences she is having? So he says, her large daughter's eyes brim with tears, haltingly she murmurs, beautiful conch and discuss. So she is so much obsessed with the Lord that she cannot think about anything other than the divine emblems that he sports, like the conch, discuss, etc. Or his wonderful, beautiful eyes, or such other aspects. So ultimately, one should be obsessed. So generally, obsessions is very dangerous. If you are obsessed with a human being, it will land you in misery. If you are obsessed with some foods or drinks, that also will land you in misery. But obsession with the Lord lands you or brings you moksha itself. So the main aspect of the Swarupa Prapti, we talked about Swarupa Virodhi. Swarupa Prapti, or establishing oneself in the right manner, is being obsessed with the Supreme Lord. That is, as his servant, as a person who enjoys all his aspects, all the aspects of the Supreme Lord. That is what is mentioned as Swarupa Prapti. It says, Tolevilli Mangalam Todum Engayare Swarupam Shollikku Vengadatturevarku Namaha Engayare Upayam Shollikku Anditodum Shollengayare Phalam Shollikku. So these two aspects we will read and enjoy during the next session. So I will end here. If any questions are there, you may ask. I hope I have been able to convey the message, because many a times we may not find the right words in English to convey, and I may not be so well equipped in English also to convey these things. But I hope I have been able to convey and you have been able to understand.
So, Swami, did you want me to find Tiruvai Moli 336?
You can find it and keep it ready. That
Okay.
is the Tolaveli Mangalam Anditodamshal is 10:8 something. That I'll find out and I'll let you know. And this second one, the middle one is 336. Yes. You can find
336, and the next one is 1087.
Yes, please.
So I'll prepare next week. I didn't know that we were going to be quoting this Kaka Akshi Nyaya that you were quoting about. So the word Namaha is going to be related to Omkara, is going to be related to Narayana, and is going to be related to Aya also.
Yes.
And in this way, the word Namaha is going to help us to get free from all these impediments, all these virodhis, the Swarupa Virodhi and the Prapya Virodhi.
Upaya Virodhi and Prapya Virodhi.
Yeah.
Prapya Virodhi.
Okay. So Namaha is a very important word. It seems like it's a very important word.
That is why in the Ashtovachara Yatnama Stotra, Evam Keshavaya Namaha, Narayana Namaha, Madhavaya Namaha. So the names of the Lord changes, but Namaha does not change.
Right. And
So
if they do Tamalachana, they say potri, right, instead of Namaha.
that has a political background, not much to do with.
No, I know that, but the word in Tamil for Namaha is potri. No.
Potri is supposed to be the word, but it is not. It's like translating Vyakarna as grammar or something like that.
So also
only one aspect of Vyakarna. Potri means I worship. Of course, Namaha also has the meaning of worship, but it has so many aspects loaded into it, which comes only with Sanskrit language and not otherwise.
So I was just noticing that the Vyapaka mantras, the three Vyapaka mantras, the Astakshara, the Dwadasakshara, and the Sadakshara, they all have Namaha coming before the main name of the Lord. But when we do Archana, we put Namaha after the name of the Lord. So first we say Keshavaya, then we say Namaha. But why should we not say Namaha first before the name of the Lord each time? Because we have to see that we are not. We have to give up I and mine before we offer something to the Lord.
Unless you have the realization of the Lord, you cannot say Namaha. And unless you say Namaha, you cannot have the realization of the Lord. That is why I was about to mention that in the Dvaya Mantra, ultimately you have Namaha in the end. Shriman Narayana Charanam Sharanam Prapadya Srimate Narayanaaya Namaha. So there, that is why he says, that is the phala. Here Namaha is in the beginning, which is the upaya. And there Namaha is the phala, or the fruit, or result. Because there we ask, after attaining the Lord, what do we ask him? We ask him to help us to continuously or eternally engage in his own servitude.
Nitya Kainkarya.
Yes, Nitya Kainkarya. So you have asked a very right question. So in this context, it is so. Whereas in the Dvaya Mantra, in the end, you have Namaha at the fag end of the mantra. So that is how it is interpreted. It is called Laukika Nyaya Anjali. It is translated by one Mr. Jacob, who happened to be an English officer who was stationed in India. And he has completed the book. It is there in 3 editions. Nowadays, the internet has made it so easy that we can. Yes. So you just put it in this one. You get a handful of popular maxims, volumes 1 to 3. Just you put Laukika Nyayanjali translated by Jacob. You get all the things. It's available on archive. Free download is there. It's there on Sanskrit ebooks. Things have become so easy, but very beautiful. You can read it. It's to be read by all people because they have done it so beautifully, and he has translated it along with the examples. Did you get it?
I'm not sure whether he had time to check for it right yet.
Yes,
No, you can check later. I just put it in Google. I got the entire thing. It's available on Sanskrit ebooks.in and also on archive.org. And there is a alphabetical index, so very easily you can locate it.
I'm able to see it, Swami, on archive.com,
Yes.
archive.org.
Yes, it's there. All the 3 books are available. So any other question?
So Swami, I had just a quick question. It was a little bit unrelated. Somebody asked me about Varaha Charama Sloka, and they wanted to know what is the context that it's being spoken in, because some editions of Varaha Purana we can't find it, and I found it one time in an edition. But do you know the actual reference, the chapter number and verse number?
There are two schools of thought. One school of thought says, because my grandfather had told me it has not been found in the Varaha Purana. It is ascribed to Varaha Purana, but it's not found there. Whereas another school of thought says it is there. So if you have the reference, you please send it to me.
Yeah, I'm searching for that. That's the problem. I saw it. I think I saw it, but I had in the Venkateshwara Steam Press edition. I think I saw it, but I cannot remember I just thought somebody might know.
Okay.
Somebody has mentioned that it's given in a commentary on Vishnu Sahasranam also. So
it might be there in commentary, but original source in Varaha Purana, where I don't exactly know. Because if you have the reference, you please let me know. I would be very happy to.
Yeah, because somebody was asking me about what the context was, why Varaha Dev has spoken like this to.
Yeah, you
to
actually
Bhumi Devi.
please send it to me. I will see it. Otherwise, I will explain it in the next class. The context in which it was mentioned, I will explain it in the next class. Ached Raman Jetyesha Titra Titrakshari Kamavastham Prapadyante Jantavo Tamadrisha Punyam Bhoja Vikasaya Papadvan Takshayaya Shriman Avirabhut Bhumau Ramanuja Divakaraha Trinīkrita Virinchari Nirankusha Vibhutayah Ramanja Padamboja Samashrena Sharinaha.
Thank you very much, Swami.